Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer J. Raffler, and I am your host for the Sol2Soul Global Summit. Learn the truth about our sun, how it heals us, supports our spiritual evolution, and more. Today, we have a very gifted guest, the beautiful Dr. Jean Logan. As a conscious channel of light for over 15 years, Dr. Jean Logan receives symbols and codes from the divine that are amazing powerhouses that can transform health, life, and well-being. Dr. Logan is an ordained minister, an earth ambassador, has a doctorate in nutritional healing, and has an extensive knowledge of many types of alternative healing. She is the author of Unlocking the Power of Glyphs, Sacred Symbols of Light, and Symbols of the Dawn. Her books are now in over 90 countries of the world. She is the director of Holy Ground Farm, a nonprofit that provides assistance to homeless children through the sales of her books. Holy Ground Farm has 58 acres of donated land in the mountains of western North Carolina that is intended for the home of a wellness and education center for our children. Hi, Dr. Logan, how are you?
I am super duper wonderful. I mean, the sun is shining today.
Yay!
All I have to say is yay.
I know you have a few mountains over there, so you have to wait until later in the day to receive your sunshine.
That's true. Even right now, it's not too bad. We can get a little sun at 10 kind of filtering through, but once the leaves are all on the trees, I won't get sun till 11 o'clock. But that's okay because there's plenty light here. I'm just grateful to be here.
I'm grateful to have you here. It's such a pleasure and an honor to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. So I understand that you have this capability of communicating with the sun, and that recently Soul communicated with you and gave you a download of information and as well as source regarding soul. And I was wondering if you could share with our viewers the information that you received.
Right, I'll be happy to. I want to point out that everybody has this ability. Everything has consciousness. Everything is part of the divine. And as such, I could talk to my car and get an answer. Mm. Or the minute thing, you can get an answer. And so this is nothing that anybody can't learn to do. I want to make sure that you understand that we all have this telepathy power that we can talk to these things. But for today, I will talk to you a little bit. I'm going to tell you, first of all, what I got from the Prime Creator Source this morning. And what I got was, let the people know that their need for sun is understated.
Oh, wow.
That a few minutes in the sun will provide immunity to many diseases. This includes pneumonia and general malaise. The body absorbs numerous elements from the sun, not just vitamin D, which is very important, but there are other elements that are even unknown to mankind. Some of them that are not even on the charts. And again, I got, don't underestimate the need for the sunshine. Certain frequencies are beneficial to most skin diseases and respiratory ailments. The regular use of small amounts of sun will do more for the immune system than any known vaccination. You can consider sunshine as nature's vaccination with no serious side effects as long as you do not have prolonged exposure. The question I asked Source was, does the sun provide us with information? I had heard this, that we're getting information from the sun. And somehow we might assume that is some kind of message, which is not exactly what it means. It said the sun communicates certain patterns or frequencies to the cells of our body. This is the information. The frequency tells the body to sustain itself from the energy from the sun. We literally get nourishment from the sun.
Mm.
We heard the term prana. You've heard of prana.
Yeah, and chi.
This is energy from the sun. It also could be from the air, and from the earth. But I asked, are we being sprayed with viruses?
Oh.
Answer, yes, to an extent. They are protected with an impermeable membrane. The sun can destroy this membrane given the opportunity.
Aha.
The sun, now this is from the sun, and it's telling me the sun goes through cycles of more intense energy and not. And you've heard about all the solar flares, and then the sun has a period of rest.
Okay.
When there's changes going on, then the sun is resting to absorb different changes. I live on a piece of land that has a place where it has vortexes where the earth gives off energy and it takes in energy from the universe. And there's times it looks like a white pillar, but there's times there's a purple core in the pillar, which I'm assuming is information. And I have no doubt the sun is being fed. When we say we're all connected, the sun is connected, the earth is connected, and it is literally being fed information.
Okay. Via that purple cord.
That's part, right. It's part of the a part of how we're all connected, and we are, and we know we have a cord connecting us, although we are source energy anyway. So the sun rests for a period of time, and then it may be having solar flares. These are not as significant as we think. We think, oh, we're having solar flares, we're going to get all this energy. And the sun advises us not to put so much in store for that. It's always giving off energy. And that the solar flares, a lot of people say, oh, they can feel all this coming in, and maybe they can, and that's good, but not to take it all too seriously. And the sun said, when people see me, they are elevated. And that's true. You know, I mean, there's times that all of a sudden the sun's out and I think, oh, let me get my shorts on. I need to run outside. We all feel great when the sun is shining. And that makes the sun happy. The sun said is always happy. The sun is always happy. It says, this gives me great joy. I cannot always accommodate their wishes due to earth weather activities, but I do try to break through cloud activities if I can, but this is not always possible. I was thinking that I had to talk to the clouds and tell them to move aside, but there's times the sun, and I guess that expression of the sun was breaking through, and that's literally what can happen if it's able to, but we all know that's not always possible. The sun said it sees great waves of energy coming from the earth. It says, keep in mind, there are other planets with whom I interact. I have no favorites. So,
Oh, but we're here on Earth. Come on.
I love all the planets that surround me. And then I said, is there anything else? He said, I must keep it simple in order for them to understand. Certainly, the sun could give us a lot of complex information that we would have no idea what it was talking about, but it was trying to just give us a simple idea. And I got one before, and it said very similar things, that when people are enjoying the sun, it really makes the sun happy. It really gets a lot of positive feedback just by knowing that people enjoy it, even if they don't understand that the earth and the sun are alive. And that's important for people to understand. The earth is alive, it thinks, it feels, it has emotions, and the sun is alive. They're all alive. And that is so important.
Yeah, because if we think of the sun and the earth as a conscious being, that changes everything. I mean, we won't take it for granted. We wouldn't be as quick to throw something out the window or to pollute the oceans and to have all these oil companies and the and the GMOs and
plastics.
Plastic. That's not a good one.
Somehow we have got to figure out a better way than plastics. We really have to. I never buy bottled water. If I have to, I have a couple sturdy, I rinse them out and I use them again. Or if I'm just going in the car, I have glass bottles that I use, or, old kombucha bottles or something.
Yeah.
Because I try not to buy any plastic. And when I'm queen, I'm going to put an end to all this. We need to put an end to all of this superfluous plastic. There's times you buy a package of something, a cardboard box would have done. There's no need for this hard plastic that doesn't.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm a real earth person, but I'm also a sun person too. And the sun's taking care of itself, but we need to help take care of the earth.
And you mentioned to me earlier that the earth communicates more freely with you than the sun.
Oh, yes. Yeah. The earth has a lot to talk about. And one of the things that, and I was really surprised, I was looking at somebody else channeling information from the earth, and they were talking about the Battle of Gettysburg. And I have no interest in the Battle of Gettysburg, but it was really fascinating because the earth came out like an authority telling exactly all different things that happened. And it makes sense because the earth was there.
Of course.
Yeah, on the earth, it's not like it happened somewhere. Everything happens on the earth. So the earth is always consciously aware of what's going on. And when we moved to this land, I was told that many people had died here, where it was a site of great Indian wars, and much blood had been shed. So the earth is affected by whatever happens on the earth. And that's why it's important to always be positive. On Holy Ground Farm, I live at 100 acres of land, and I do not allow people to use profanity on my land. I want people who are happy around here and, at least easy to get along with, because dark energy will always have an effect. And I want to tell a quick story about what happened one time. My husband and I were just building this place, and we were still driving back and forth to Atlanta. And we had this big argument, and we were just getting ready to leave. And so we left here to go back to Atlanta. And when we came back up, we drove up the driveway, and I noticed on the telephone pole that the fuse box was open. And I couldn't understand that. And then we got further up, and we saw that apparently lightning had hit a tree, came down and hit our well, plowed a ditch all the way over to the house, blew the phones off the wall, and it blew open the fuse box. And I have no doubt that the fight that my husband and I had, the argument,
Wow.
left a negative energy.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, so it's good to try to remove anything from your heart that's not love. And I think I've grown a lot since that time. But I try to always be positive and loving to the land. When I go for a walk, I'm sending light to the earth and blessing everything. I bless everything. If it moves, I bless it. If it doesn't move, I bless it too. So
what about these viruses that you picked up on that are being put into our atmosphere?
I try not to, myself, I recognize that we have the power of God. And so I see myself as immune to everything. And every morning I'm instructed, sometime ago I was told this, to see a golden light around me or a white light surrounding me that protects me from any energy that is not in harmony with my body. I have not had a cold or a flu or any kind of issue like that for over 15 years. We have that power with our mind. So no matter what they're throwing at us, I will mention that there is a glyph in my third book symbols of the dawn called the scalar energy, that you can make a copy of it and hang it outside, and it will transmute anything negative from the chemtrails.
Okay.
And also it can interfere with any signals from HARP. You know what HARP, right? And so I put that outside, and I also put one out facing the meter, electric meter.
Oh, yes, yes. Yep.
Right. Although I'm fortunate enough that my smart meter is across the road. I have a driveway between here. It's probably 40 feet, 50 feet away. So, but I do advise people who have a smart meter right outside their bedroom window or right on their house to try to protect themselves from the energy from that.
So should they take your glyph and blow it up to a larger size and perhaps laminate it?
Sure, yeah, right, yeah, you'd want to laminate it. If you're putting it outside, you'd certainly want to laminate it. I have a little covered porch, and so I can put it in there. And that helps a lot, because certainly the sun will fade it in time. But I have numerous ones to help the bats and to help the trees and hanging outside my house.
I remember that you had a whole colony of bats right outside.
Yes, I had this, I designed this glyph to resolve a bat disease that's going on in the eastern United States called white fungus.
Yeah.
And so I created that, and I put it on the corner of my house. I have a vinyl siding. I put it right on the corner, and bats had moved in, and we counted them one night. 22 bats were coming out of the side of the house. And I thought, I love bats, but I really don't want them in the house, you know, I mean, even under the vinyl siding, because there's certain kind of damage that they can do just from yeah.
22 is a great number, though. So if you're going to have bats, 22 of them is great.
Well, I found out that what got them to leave was we'd sit out at night and we'd be watching them with a flashlight. They did not like that at all, and they left. They didn't like that light shining on us. But I kept telling him, I would talk to him, and you can talk to anything. And again, I can talk to the black ants and get the black ants to stay out of the house. Red ants and the wasps, and sometimes they're not all agreeable. Wasps and yellow jackets, forget that. But the red ants, I got real ugly with them. They wouldn't stay out of the house. And so finally I said, if you don't stay out of my house, I'm going to take some boiling water and find your nest and pour it on your nest. And that did it. And I didn't want to get ugly, and I would never, I hope they can't hear me. I could never.
They're going to come back.
Because, but sometimes you can work with some critters, and the bats, I kept telling him, the neighbor has a bunch of bat houses. I said, and they have a blue roof, a blue metal roof. And I said, go over to the house with the blue roof, and they get in their bat houses. So, and they did get bats in their houses. I don't know if it was the same one, but always try to talk to things first. If you have a problem with anything of nature, talk to it first. Give it a warning. If you're going to kill any mice in your garage, tell them first. Talk to them first. And I have crickets get in my garage, and I tell them, if you come in my garage, you're dead. That's it. I mean,
love it.
Right.
The glyphs work.
The glyphs work. Oh, and I've just found out something new, that the glyphs can be made into homeopathics.
Really?
I'm hearing that the FDA wants to outlaw homeopathics. Good luck on that, because they can't. They cannot, because we can create our own, and we can literally turn the glyphs into homeopathics. I found this out by the glyph for allergies. I have hay fever, and I would get sneezing. Sometimes it was really distressing. And the glyphs are powerful, but sometimes taping one on all the time is not always a great thing if you have to use them all. So I thought, well, I wonder if it can be made into a homeopathic. And so I tried that, and it was successful. I now never use the glyph for the allergy. I have a little spray bottle and squirt a little homeopathic under my tongue.
Oh,
So it works great. Works great.
perfect.
Right. Mhm.
It's my understanding that you don't have a glyph for the sun per se.
What would we want it to do?
Let's see. Maybe amplify the information, the codes, that bioinformation that we're not aware of, to amplify that on the days when it's harder for soul to get through to, perhaps due to chemtrails or HARP or, just a lot of rainy days,
Yeah.
especially in the winter. The seasonal affective disorders, to help with that, that would be beautiful.
Yeah, it's my heart goes out to people who live in a part of the world that's gray all the time, and there are some countries I think that are like that. Scotland is one that rarely gets to see the sun. That's true. I think they need to have some way they can get everything they can from the sun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I love what you said before, that the sun is our vaccine for good health.
Right. It's literally like it's the most powerful and the best vaccination that exists, and there's no side effects if we use moderation.
Mm.
And I know there's a lot of people get carried away, and we've all seen them in places where there's a lot of sun. There's people who have skin like leather because they're out there all the time. Well, that's their choice. That's
Yeah,
their choice.
that's
So.
true. That's true. So is there anything else that Soul communicated with you possibly in the past? I know what we just spoke about was a recent.
I did speak to him once before. I think of him as a him, and the earth is our mother, and the sun is him. But of course, we know that's just our terminology. And I got pretty much the same thing, was that how happy it made the sun to see everybody enjoying it. It's just really, it brought him great pleasure. Although it's interesting, we don't know what's on the other planets, whether they're some creatures that are enjoying the sun there too. I don't know. We're doing well to understand the little bit we know about Mars.
Yeah, but just because we're not aware of it, we don't perceive some other race or entities, doesn't mean that they're not there.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's true.
What do you think the relationship is between the sun and the moon?
My understanding, the moon is a construct. It was constructed. It's not like created like the earth and the sun. So I don't know. We love our moon too, in spite of it being a construct. We'd like to kick off who's ever on there and say, we're taking over this thing now. It's our moon, and get out of here. If you're not a loving being, go away. That's what we like to tell a whole lot of things like that. We should, yes. If they're not loving, whatever's not a loving being doesn't need to be part of our reality, and we need to stay positive and see it being that way sometime, that this earth is just a planet of love.
Mm-hmm.
And any dark energy will not be accepted here anymore. As the earth raises her frequency and continues to raise her frequency, dark energy cannot tolerate that. So we just have to know we're winning this one. We're going to win. This is it. We're winning this one.
Yeah, we're past the tipping point.
Yes, we're past the tipping point. Yeah, we got them on the run. They're trying their best, but we got them on the run.
Yeah. So we just need to continue to have faith.
Yes, absolutely. Have faith. Stay positive, and I try not to get. I was told stay abreast of what's going on. So, but I today know what's going on, but don't get caught up in it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right. Get caught up.
That's good advice, because it's very easy to be sucked into the drama of what's going on.
Right, and it's also easy to get drawn into social media drama too, which is okay. When you're a writer, you need the social media, but you have to know where to
draw the line.
draw the line, right? It's difficult for me being a writer, and somebody will write and they say, I have this medical problem. And so I think I've got a glyph that would resolve that. So I'll put that down. And usually it's not the person asking for information. Other people will jump in and said, and there's the people who think, oh, that must be some kind of dark energy, or do you have any scientific proof for all of this? You know, well, do we have scientific proof that prayer works either?
They're just not there yet. Hopefully at some point they'll get there quickly.
Yeah. If they really get ugly, I block them.
Ah.
I'm not going to argue. You get on there and argue with anybody, you're wasting your time.
That's true. That's true. I agree with you there. Did Sol mention anything of our practices of putting sunscreen on?
Oh, yes, that came up. I just got, no, just not sun, but the sunscreen is not a good idea. There are certain natural things that we can use, but sunscreen is not a good idea. It's got toxic matter that can be absorbed by our kidneys and our liver. And if you have to be outside and you get where you're getting too much sun, put on a t-shirt. If necessary, put on an old long sleeve white shirt. Mm-hmm. But avoid sunscreen. Sunscreen can be very toxic. Anything you put on your skin is this biggest organ that you have. Anything you put on your skin will be absorbed into your body. And so if you look at the label and it's got all these unpronounceable things and colors and fragrances, it is not a good idea, no matter whether it's sunscreen or something else. We have to be very careful what our body's absorbing, and even what we take in, things that have an odor to them that are toxic. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we need to we have to take care of our bodies. And it's important, if we're interested in ascension, which we all should be, we have to understand that we need to clear ourselves emotionally and physically. That's very important. And that's one of the reasons I'm given the glyphs. The whole first book is full of glyphs that will literally draw out negative emotions, because you cannot get to the fifth dimension if you are full of fear or anger or resentment, any of that. You want to get rid of that first, and you need to detoxify yourself the best you can. And I think sometimes we are literally seeing ourselves changing our diet to include healthier food. Mm-hmm. And staying away from foods. Oftentimes that happens, your dietary choices change. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you found that, but I certainly have.
Yes, yes.
And I have quit, I was told some time ago to stop eating meat, stop eating animals, when I was getting ready to speak at a church about ascension. And I was told, I said, oh, they're not going to want to hear that. They're not going to want to hear that. And tell them anyway, and they can decide. Okay. But you cannot get to the fifth dimension on a diet of flesh and blood. That's what I was told. And I thought, oh, okay, they're not going to want to hear that, but yeah.
That's going to be a hard sell.
It's going to, yeah. And so I just say there's no wrong thing. And it's not wrong to eat meat. It's certainly not wrong to eat meat. But just so you understand that as you want to move up your elevation, you have to make changes. But a lot of times people are doing it naturally. I'll have people say, well, I just don't feel like eating meat anymore. So that's what makes a difference.
Sure. Mm-hmm. And the light quotient, the sunlight quotient, like, for example, if you're eating fruit, think about how much time the fruit has to be in the sunlight to ripen.
Right. We are absorbing oxygen and energy from living things. And I like to eat a lot of living food. I have a lot of fruit in the morning. I have a big salad in the afternoon. not that I don't eat cooked food, but I really enjoy my big salad. And I go, and one thing it's important to know, people go to the supermarket and you think that's where you should buy groceries. 95% of what's there is not fit to eat. The best place to buy your food is to go to the local tailgate or your local farmer's market where your local growers are. I go there every Saturday morning. That's my big outing, is Saturday morning, and I buy everything I can there. Unless it's avocados or bananas, which we can't grow here, I get most of my food from the tailgate market, right?
Nice.
And it's local grown. That's important for more than one reason, not just because it has the correct energy for us being grown in this area, but also it's important to support the people who are growing local organic food.
They actually know their plants and they know their food. They're familiar with it.
And they're not playing games to name organic. They're not doing what the industry is and trying to water down the organic requirements.
Is there anything else that you can think of that you would like to add regarding Sol or anything related to Sol before we leave?
No, not really, except of course that we know the soul, that sun was worshipped. I picked this up in Peru many years ago. INTI is the way it's pronounced. And I just fell in love with a great big one, but I couldn't get it on the plane, so I had to settle for a smaller one, but that's okay.
Aww.
Nice.
Aww.
And it was worshipped. The sun has been worshipped by many cultures. But we don't worship. I love the sun, but I don't worship the sun. Call me a sun worshiper. That's not quite. People who are laying out in the sun, they call them sun worshipers, but that's not really worship. But in many cultures that was. But it is not. It was really a group of celestial beings that they were worshiping.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for your presence today and bringing so much sun energy with you. You got the sun on your shirt, the sun behind you, and the sun's out at your home.
Yeah, it's just kind of peeking out a little bit. I'm going to have to go talk to somebody out there and see. I want to get out in the sun today. We've had really a late spring, and it's been kind of dismal weather, but it's nicer today. So.
Oh, I'm happy for you because the sun, the better.
Where are you?
I'm in Cape Cod.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and today we have a little bit of sun. We had more earlier in the morning, but it's supposed to start raining in about an hour and a half, unfortunately.
Oh, into each person's life, a little rain must fall, right?
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
Okay.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us today, and stay tuned for more exceptional videos on the sun. I look forward to seeing you for the next video. Thank you again, Jean.
Okay, thank you, and many blessings to everybody out there.
Bye-bye.